His Holiness Dalai Lama noted that it's important to cultivate peace of mind, especially with the stresses thrown upon all us, saying that it should be an approach to health. He also advised traumatized healthcare workers, declaring his admiration for doctors and nurses who have been treating people ill with COVID-19. His Holiness invited members on the virtual session to ask him questions, which saw many participate, including ITV Go's chairman, Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parekh. Here is a segment from the virtual discussion.
Question is from Dr. Sudhir Parekh, an expert in asthma and allergy from the US. Dr. Sudhir Parekh is the Secretary General of GAPIO. Dr. Sudhir.
Namaste, His Holiness. Warm regards from the New York City and USA. His Holiness, can you guide us? What is the role of religion in a world affected by an unprecedented crisis like the COVID pandemic? Please guide us.
I feel, as I already mentioned, all religion, you see, their main message is loving kindness, altruism. And with that, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline. So these, whether you believe the complicated philosophy, religious philosophy or not, the real essence of religious teaching, loving kindness. And that, firstly, as I already sort of mentioned, we already discussed, the mental peace brings physical health, as I already mentioned. Now then, as a human nature, when we face some desperate situation, then religion provides us some sort of basis of our hope. Oh God, oh God, oh God. When you completely fail through your own effort, then still believe God, oh God, like that. So God, some mysterious sort of thing that provide many people. You see, when they really facing situation of totally hopeless, then still God, 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 like that. The most important, you see, to use the God's message or Buddha's message, loving kindness. And then the Nalanda tradition, Indian tradition, now scientists also paying more attention about anything exist with interdependency, no absolute sorosity, truth.
Existence.
Absolute existence. Any existence due to other factor. So that's the perhaps I think unique Buddhist concept. The Sanskrit word patit samubandha. Everything interdependent, interconnected. So now modern science also, you see, everything. You see, very nature of existence is many factor, like quantum physics now appears something independently exist. The reality, everything, you see, depend on their particle. So now quantum physics, they say, nothing exists as appears. If we investigate, finally, the observer, so long observer there, then things there. When observer no longer there, then difficult to say whether this exists or not. So there's exactly one ancient Nalanda tradition, mind-only school of thought, quite similar. Independent external thing, not there. All dependent sort of concept, like that. So therefore, the quantum physics say there is big differences, appearance and a deeper reality. Now, deeper reality, everything, every sort of existence, interdependent, not absolute. So therefore, you see that philosophy or that view very helpful, you see, to reduce our emotion, destructive emotion. Destructive emotion very much based on appearances. When your appearance objectively exists, then good thing objectively exists, bad thing objectively sort of exists. So the grasping, grasping, this is good, this is bad, more or less sort of independent, since things appears something independently. For that, once even concept also the kasa concept kasa
Interdependence.
and
Quantum physics.
Quantum physics. Even quantum physics, you see, there is nothing independent as appears. So some student who study quantum physics, as far as I know, in China, some university is a student who study quantum physics. You see, they eventually they feel nothing independently exists there. So that reduce the grasping, all destructive emotion based on that. That's Acharya Nagarjuna clearly mentioned that. All destructive emotion, you see, very much based on the concept or belief things exist objectively. So therefore, Andi kan chodi karako.
Chodi tante nayam di chodi dewa yoro.
So, firstly, this uncontrollable, disease. When we, you see, face these problems, firstly, according to doctors, scientists, what they advise, we should follow according to their advice. Then, when things become really, difficult or already get something, then try to keep your determination, self-confidence. Then now here, I think India's 1,000-year-old concept, Atma, beside this body, there is soul or separate being, soul or Atma. So the end of life, just this physical, not being itself. The Atma, no beginning, no end. So this body, like clothes, when our clothes no longer useful, then we can change. Similarly, this body, you see, when become no longer used, then dry. Atma still there. From Buddhist viewpoint, you see, the mind, this physical and mind, there are several levels of consciousness. For example, in our daily life, during dream time, another level of mind. And during sleep, deep sleep, without dreaming, further deeper. So at the time of dying, death, the consciousness which is related with our brain no longer now function. But subtle mind still there. So as I mentioned earlier, some people after sort of clinically that still body remain fresh. You see, they remain that very subtle level of mind.
We continue to present highlights from the very successful virtual event by GAPIO featuring renowned spiritual leader His Holiness Dalai Lama on compassion in medical practice. The great leader said that the practice of compassion and altruism brings us a peace of mind, that compassion is the best counter for stresses in the world. Addressing several questions from medical professionals from all across, His Holiness Dalai Lama stressed on the importance of ancient Indian knowledge for tackling destructive emotions and more, living a life of non-violence and compassion, which are the ancient traditions of ahimsa and karuna. On doctors and nurses, His Holiness Dalai Lama said that they must remain brave and self-confident, and that he believes in their inner strength and resilience.
You asked, what about in people who have given up hope? And so we've now learned a lot about this kind of thing from the scientific research, that people who experience serious depression and the feeling of hopelessness do indeed have shorter telomeres, and that means they have premature body aging. And in fact, it's this type of aging of their immune systems that can make them more vulnerable to viral infections, for example. And today we talked about the many troubles in the world, and this has made many people feel hopeless. And so in turn, I'd like to ask you, what would you advise each of us to do so that we can better help someone who has given up hope?
I think the short-sighted and too much desire and one-sided sorrow, that one-sided sort of attitude, then you see, there is much possibility give up,
Losing hope.
Losing hope. So now here, human mind, human brain have the ability to look everything more holistic. Now, for example, whole galaxies, there was a beginning. Now this moment now existing. Eventually, whole galaxy disappear. So then, we individual human being, certainly there is a beginning, and then remain, and then eventually disappear. It is nature. Then, within our lifetime, you see, problem is part of our life. But meantime, we have this intelligence. So basically, we have the ability to think, to find ways and means to overcome this problem. So, if we think more wider perspective and more holistic way thinking, then you see what's the that useful, you see, hopelessness, or just you see, think narrowly and narrow-minded, then something happened, then you really feel hopeless. But if you have the more wider sort of perspective, more holistic view, then yes, there are some problems, but also you see there is possibility to overcome, like that. So these, you see, human intelligence, human wisdom, through education as I already mentioned, modern education, the materialistic oriented. Now, Indian tradition about mind. You see, these should combine. Then you will not, you see, easily, you see, lose your hope or confidence like that. So that I feel.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful.
So my own life, 1959, when things become very difficult, a serious sort of threat, even my own life. So, actually in 1959, March 17th, then I left from Nobulinga, Summer Palace. Doubt whether I can see next sun or next day. Serious adversity situation. But I never sort of give up my hope. There may be some difficulties, but we must try. We must try. And without losing determination. Then 17th March 59, then 18th morning, and I feel great relief. Now, at least for the time being, no danger of my life. I reached southern Tibet when I saw new sun, something fresh. So, you see, the serious sort of situation, difficult situation, about threat of my own life, but without losing determination, hope. And I survived. No problem.